We are live. You always get a little bit of our back-end conversation as we start the show. Welcome to Cellular Healing TV, episode 54, here with Dr. Dan Pompa and my amazing co-host, David Asarno. Say hello, David.
Hello, David. Hello,
Dr.
Warren. Hello, Dr. Pompa.
And this light lamp from the hotel room, you're right, Dr. Pompa. You can see everything about me right now with that light. It did a really great job. You can see
I can see your beard coming in, too.
Yeah, it's coming in nicely. So let's get into a topic that's absolutely amazing. If you're watching this right now and you have trouble sleeping, you have trouble getting to sleep, and if you do get to sleep, you wake up 3 to 4 hours later and you can't get back to sleep. Or if sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night full of anxiety and thinking about things, you're revved, as they say, you have heart palpitations. This topic, this show is for you. Sleep and anxiety. Some of the same problems that occur because of that hormonally, obviously in your brain, that cause sleep disturbance, also is a big part of anxiety. So Dr. Pompa, this is something that I've dealt with in my journey. I know that you have, and even occasionally still do when we get exposures like it, from perfumes and colognes and at times formaldehyde that can still cause that. But let's get into this topic of sleep anxiety. This is something you're definitely an expert on, and something you can share with our audience today that can really transform some lives, because sleep is key, guys.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think we both became an expert when, obviously when we were sick. It was either the nights where we couldn't get to sleep, or it was the nights where you wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning and can't get back to sleep, and if that's all it was, it would have been fine for me, but I would wake up with these feelings of dread, anxiety that just rose up from here, so God, I dreaded those nights. Matter of fact, I remember dreading the nights because it was always that thing of, oh my God, if I spend another night, laying there in bed, and worse yet, with feelings of anxiety, and I wouldn't go back to those days for anything. So, but because of it though, it drove us, didn't it? I mean, we learned, both of us, Warren. I mean, we both became sleep experts because of it. I mean, obviously, and I want to say this right at the top. Look, you don't ever solve those problems completely like Warren and I did until you actually get upstream to the cause. I mean, I got enough of the mercury out of my pituitary gland, pineal gland, which I'll talk a little bit about today, then of course, I was never ever going to be able to truly sleep. But we sure did a lot of cocktails, and we sure found a lot of things that worked along the way as crutches while we got the mercury out of our brains. So if you haven't read my last article that we just released this week about the brain, you saw some shows on it, please do. I talk about brain detox, which really goes along with this show as well, healing the brain, which goes along with this show as well. So kind of promoting that article for sure, because you will gain a lot of valuable information for not just you, but for your family and loved ones, because so many people are losing cognitive function, memory. And let me tell you something, you people who out there have anxiety and sleep issues, you're at the front of that line, trust me. It's brain decay, it's brain degeneration. Please read the article. All right, Warren, so that's at the top of the show. You have to get to the cause to truly solve this problem, but we'll go from there.
And I think that's what's different, Dr. Pompa, is like a lot of people who are doing shows, hey, we're going to do this and take my sleep formula. You're going to get your life back. Well, ain't going to happen. I mean, it may work for 1 or 2 nights. It may work 1 or 2 nights a week to help you, knock down your cortisol, relax your body. There's a lot of, science behind that. But if you don't get to the cause, you're done. And along the way, I know, Dan, just to say another thing about my story, why I'm passionate about it, is a lot of these things lead into chronic inflammation as well, and a lot of pain, and that's actually some of your brain work that you discussed in your last article on the brain, is the inflammation in the brain. And what's the number one cause of inflammation in the brain? Obviously, mercury. So this upstream, source, and getting to the source, getting the mercury out of the pituitary, the hypothalamus, no one's talking about that because they're more interested in pushing a product like a pharmaceutical company would, promoting this happy, loving, wonderful lifestyle, even though you have incontinence, but yet you can survive. Or if you have low testosterone, well, you can get your life back. Well, it doesn't work that way. There's no magic pill or bullet out there. We need to speak the truth. So honestly,
honestly, with this show right here could be our #1 show that people are going, that's me, right? I mean, honestly, I'm telling you, even people who consider themselves not sick and healthy, oh yeah, well, I don't sleep great a lot of nights, or yeah, I get some anxiety. None of that's normal. by the way, and it's a sign. This is a sign of neurotoxic illness, which so many people have. How many people are going upstream and really getting to the cause? No, man, they're downstream. Even the alternative folks, they're downstream with things that just, trying to deal with it. They're trying to deal with their adrenals, because obviously we know that sleep problems are a lot of adrenal-related issues. You're not adapting. You're producing cortisol at the wrong times. It's cell energy problems. You wake up in the middle of the night, you can't maintain your glucose levels, you can't maintain your energy levels. By the way, it takes a lot of energy to sleep. So you start releasing adrenaline in the middle of the night. And we'll talk about solutions to this, because that's kind of the things that we realize, that when you wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning, your body's just driving adrenaline and cortisol from your adrenal glands. Maybe because your adrenal glands were wiped out through the day. And again, I'm gonna give you all a way to measure this, and even kind of help you with this process, because it gets very confusing. Again, a drop in glucose will send a rise in cortisol to adapt to that energy. The body's always trying to survive, or it'll send out adrenaline.
It's interesting. You mentioned, Dr. Pompa, that this could be the #1 show. I just did a Google search, and it said that 75% of adult Americans experience sleep disorders. I mean, everyone pretty much that I know, says that they have challenges sleeping at night. They get up multiple times a night. They have trouble going back to sleep. So this is a big challenge. And people just like, oh, it's my back. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. Oh, let me take a pill.
Yeah.
The other 25%, though, Dr. Pompa, the other 25% are probably males that say, I sleep great, or I'm tough. I sleep 4 hours a night, and they're actually proud of it. And they don't realize that that's massively abnormal. So the other 25%, David, they're probably having sleep problems too. So probably 100% of America. So if you're watching this and, I sleep great, I sleep 4 hours, not
That's
good.
not normal.
Listen, this is a dog that bites you twice. I guess a wasp instead of a bee. Because what happened, my son just had a bee down his pants that stung him like 3 times. A wasp. So I was explaining him the difference. So there comes that analogy. That was a warnism. Anyway, so the point is that, you don't sleep, and now your body's not healing, right? So, it's now you start getting problems with that. You start getting overuse syndromes, injury, pain, all kinds of other fatigue.
Myalgia, chronic pain, back pain.
Yeah, so, sleep is huge. And then here's a lot of people, they're in bed for 8 or 9 hours, perhaps. However, they're not getting into that deep REM sleep. We're going to talk about that, too. So, I do have a lot of things to talk about. We kind of set up the part of the problem. Is that, look, the pituitary runs your thyroid. It runs your adrenal glands. And everyone plays around downstream with those, but we always say that, what's really going on? We had tons of mercury and toxins that bioaccumulated in our pituitary gland. That's why our endocrine system was never normal. Well, there's another problem, too. Your pineal gland, which actually makes melatonin. You need melatonin to get into those deep REM sleeps and those deeper phases of sleep. So a lot of people make it through the night, but they're really not hitting those, and they're wiped out, and they wonder why. Well, certain toxins, heavy metals, we'll use that as our example, because that was Warren and I's gig, and there's others. But the pineal gland actually is part of the brain, but it sits outside the blood-brain barrier. And why is that significant? Because it really takes the hits. So it starts to get very toxic and accumulate heavy metals especially, and there's reasons for that. But then it starts to drop your production of heavy metals. So therefore now, your production of melatonin. So now that affects your sleep. Now here's the problem. Melatonin is a carrier of something called sulfate. Sulfate, your nerve system, your brain actually needs to function with. So without enough sulfate, by the way, this is a growing epidemic because of another toxin and heavy metals, the toxin glyphosate that we talked about in the past. But anyways, sulfate, your brain needs to function. So now you start getting depleted of sulfate. At night, your body produces melatonin. When you get enough sun in the day and outside exposures, your body produces enough sulfate. So when your pineal gland gets toxic, well, guess what? Now you're not producing enough sulfate, and really we call it melatonin sulfate, which is how your nerve system works and how you sleep. So this is one of the big problems. So again, you have to get upstream. Then if you have silver fillings in your mouth, we know where most of that mercury is going. It is crossing the blood-brain barrier. It is going right in to the pituitary hypothalamus. So again, multiple reasons why we don't sleep. It affects your pituitary, which affects your adrenals, which now you're releasing cortisol and adrenaline in the middle of the night, can't stay asleep. It affects the pineal gland, which affects melatonin, can't get into a deep sleep. So this is the core issue. Let me give you some tips that, Warren, you're going to add into some of those tips. Because
I was going to stop you on this one question, is that you said something really important that I don't want to gloss over, because I remember when this happened to you, which is you remove the source. Our number one, at a time in your life, and you probably know what that was, is the first time you slept. So you didn't take any sleep meds, you didn't take any, some of the tricks and tips are going to give you, but that first night when you removed that stress off your body went into healing, and what did it do? It went to sleep. And what did you do the first time you got some good sleep again, Dr. Pompa? What happened?
Yeah, well, I had some fillings. It was like when my fillings came out.
Exactly.
It was like a massive difference. Actually, even when I had a root canal taken out, I felt a massive difference, drop in my anxiety levels, which was massive. And, and when they took the gold filling out and I still had silver fillings in, I felt that anxiety level go out. So as the sources came out, I definitely noticed a drop. But caution right there. If you haven't read the article, When Detox is Dangerous, please read the article. There's a zillion pitfalls, one of which I see all the time. People get this fixed, and then they don't go into the brain detox. I describe a little bit of brain detox in the last article on the brain, but also When Detox is Dangerous, there's 3 parts. I describe it there. That's magic. If you don't do that, we have a honeymoon period where we feel a little better, and then what happens is you crash because you never got to the source where the metals are bioaccumulate and other toxins, and that's the brain.
Yeah, so one of our big 3. Moldy home, same thing. Get out of that. You sleep for the first night. If you stay at a hotel and then you sleep better, it's like, oh, so it's the cause. And I know we've done that on past shows, but just as an example, there's a doctor that we talked to yesterday. We're training doctors again. That's what we do. Dr. Pompa is on stage here in about an hour, and actually less than an hour. 45 minutes, so we will wrap the show up at 10:30 Mountain Standard Time. He got his amalgams out, but he's still sick because he's not doing what he's supposed to do, which is the body detox of the mercury in the brain phase. He hasn't got into that yet, and so he's remained sick, and it's hard. It takes willpower. You need a coach to coach you through. If I didn't have a personal trainer, I would not work out. I just wouldn't do it. I need someone to push me and hold me accountable to do what's right. So I'll leave that topic there, but I just want to give you another example, guys. This is serious business when it comes to heavy metal detoxification. When detoxification.
There's no doubt, and you do need a coach. That's why we're training doctors around the country.
But Dr. Pompa, it's not just, they've got to do the detox properly, but then it's going through the re-inoculation, fixing your gut, doing all those things that all of a sudden isn't that when all of a sudden the light bulb goes off and you start feeling differently, you start sleeping through the night? Is that part of the process?
Well, as the metal started coming out of my brain, I got my nights back completely, right? But it was a process. As I started that brain phase of metal, detox, then my nights started coming consistently, and and that was huge. But moving the source plate, I started feeling like there was hope. Yeah, David, of course I had to fix my downstream detox pathways. My gut was obviously trashed, my liver, my kidneys, all those things. That's why you need a coach, because before you go into this process, even the removal, you have to really make sure that those, downstream detox pathways are open. So imagine this, here you are trying to fix your little stream where you want to fly fish. I'm just talking Warren's language a little bit. And your fish are dying, and you're putting new fish in there, and trying to get your place where you love the fish right, and the fish keep dying or they're going away, and you're wondering what's going on. And you keep putting new fish in, and you keep doing things to help the algae and all the good stuff. But meanwhile, you find out that upstream there's a factory that's dumping little bits of lead and mercury into the water. Well, are you ever going to get those fish to take hold in the algae and all the microorganisms? No way, man. And so, you have to go upstream and remove the source. But in the meantime, we do want to get those organisms back in the gut, because this gut plays into this, this brain plays into this brain. So, very, very important stuff that we just talked about. Okay, so what are we doing?
Guys, just for the Cellular Healing TV, we always come back to this. And we discuss this all the time, but and bring it into these different topics because it's the truth. It's a real solution, and we spent a little time talking about true cellular detoxification. That is so key to getting your life back. We don't want to just give you little band-aids, although you need some tricks and tips to get yourself feeling a little bit better so that you can, you know, spend more time with your family a little bit, get some of those pharmaceutical commercial moments where you have a good day, where you get a good night's sleep. But, you know, at the end of the day, we're not going to, you know, we're not going to sugarcoat this thing. You have to remove the source.
If we looked at the statistics, how many people are taking anti-anxiety drugs, antidepressant drugs, sleep drugs, forget it. You know, what are we doing? I mean, come on, folks. I mean, you're smarter than that. There's a cause. There's a reason. Don't live your life in effect. You know, be a 3%er, as we say, and live your life in cause. And what we just talked about right there in that moment is cause. You know, it's like when you look at my 5 R's, that is really cellular detox, right? I mean, those things have to be fixed at the cellular level. Warren, you just heard me talk to these doctors yesterday, right? And what was I saying? Look, people are functioning down here doing colon cleanses, liver cleanses, and all these different things. Far infrared saunas, all great, but none of it is true cellular detox, right? We've got to get the cell working, and then we can use those things as tools to keep these pathways open. But if you don't fix this, if you don't start here, what good is it? We start here with these brain cells, clearing those in the pituitary. That's how you fix your sleep problems and your endocrine system and your hormone problems. But all right, I want to give you something. I'm going to share this with even the doctors tomorrow, actually. But, you know, it's a little trick to be able to help this issue with anxiety and sleep. You can do an orthostatic blood pressure, and Warren doesn't know this yet, but he's going to help me with this tomorrow with the group. So, you know, one thing, and I kind of got addicted to it, I admit, when I was sick. You can do an orthostatic blood pressure where you're taking your blood pressure lying down. So you lie down for 5 or 10 minutes, get everything settled, and then you take your blood pressure. Write down your systolic number. That's the bigger number. That's the top number. Okay? The bottom number for this doesn't matter as much. So you write down the systolic, and then you undo the cuff. Keep the cuff on your arm. By the way, you can just use a drugstore pumper-upper, so you don't even need the whole thing, right? You can do your own gig. And you can get those things for $20 to $50. Obviously, the more money you spend, the better, the more accurate they are. But there's all of them.
One of those little electronic blood pressure cuffs, Dr. Pompa. You can get online.
Yeah, that's it. So you put it on, you take it, then you undeflate it. Wait a minute, and then you stand up. And as you're standing up, you're getting the blood pressure going again. You know, start pumping it up as you're standing up. Get up and pump it up quickly, and then you're going to stand there and wait. And you're going to look at your blood pressure. It should raise about 10. 5 is a little adrenal weakness. If it stays the same or drops, you've got some major adrenal issues. Therefore, during the day, we want to support those adrenal glands because that plays into your anxiety, how you adapt to stress, and it also plays into how you're going to sleep through the night. So we want to use things like we use GA, Warren, is a great product. And there's some adaptogens types of products too. Designs for Health has one called Adaptogen. But anyway, so we want to support those, adrenals, really giving them, some building power, if you will. Okay, even some sea salt through the works really good to support the adrenal gland. B vitamins, Moors is a product, it's a methylation product that really does support the B vitamins, and so just some little tips there. And we've done some other adrenal shows in the past. You can go back and watch those videos. So that's if your number drops to 5 below, and if it drops really below, meaning if you're getting a drop of 10, it's like you've got major adrenal issues. You need to strengthen through the day. Now, what happens when this happens? And I hate it these days, even worse. Sometimes your adrenals come fighting back into a hyper mode. Right. Okay, and this is where you start producing more cortisol, more anxiety, and this is where you can wake up in the middle of the night, just like I said, or you don't even get the sleep. But here's what happens: so you pump up the cuff, and you go up 20, 30, or even 40. I remember times where it would rise up 50. So let's say I'm 120. Okay, let's just use that as our bottom number. So what happens is you'll end up being, instead of 130, which is normal, it should raise about 10. Now instead of 130, you're going 140, 50, or 160 on your systolic. What's happening is you're producing too much cortisol. You're producing too much adrenaline to compensate for just this standing up mode in your sympathetic nerve system. Your nerve system's firing too hot. Typically, you don't get to sleep. Now, we just developed a new product, which is coming out this weekend. It's called Calm. So my suggestion there would be to take Calm, obviously through the day to taper that down. When your number drops, okay, that systolic drops. Now the best thing to do is to take a product like GA through the day, support the adrenals, and then take Calm just before bed. So just in review, if it rises up above 10, 20, 15, 20, 30, then we do Calm throughout the day. There's another product called Serafos that we use for that. So we dose it through the day when you get that rise too high to calm that adrenal down. We're resting the adrenals. Everything's okay. You can't fix the adrenals if they're hyper all the time. We want to calm it down. So when it goes drop, we want to support the adrenals with a builder and then use Calm at night so it doesn't come firing back. Because when your adrenals are low through the day, typically at 3 or 4 in the morning, man, this baby's come firing back and wake you up at night. So we want to use Calm at night or Serafos, and if you wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning. So that's kind of a way to dose it. It's kind of a way to use it. So I've probably just got many questions now.
Well, I want to go back and review that again. And by the way, that new product, Calm, we should have it at our Revelation Health store, which is online, revelationhealth.com. We should have that available, so you're probably going to have to call in and to get that because it won't be up on our site for a while. But the GA, of course, we have that. It's bisystemic. What's the other product that you mentioned? GA, and then
Serafos is
Interplexus. Adaptogens Beyond Organic.
Okay, yeah, Adaptogens Beyond there, which is an adaptogen product, but it's called Adrenatone Plus.
Adrenatone Plus, and that's Designs, and that's all we have. We have all that stuff stocked for our clients. So let's go back to this blood pressure cuff because I think this is a great way to monitor it. And then I know obviously if you have weak adrenals, you'll stand up. That's another way. If you stand up and you get lightheaded, your body's not adapting to essentially that stress.
You don't need to take your blood pressure. You're dropping. Your systolic's dropping instead of rising.
Yeah, so you don't even need to go spend the $40 on Amazon.com buying a blood pressure cuff, and they do that automatically. The blood pressure cuff pumps itself up. You don't have to do it by yourself. It automatically does it if you want to get a cuff. It's a great way to monitor, essentially your health, because your adrenal health is a reflection, obviously, of your endocrine system, of your overall health. Again, sleep problems, it's back to the brain, which Dr. Pompa is this whole seminar is about the brain. It's a hormone issue. You're not producing melatonin. So you think that you have a sleep problem, but again, you have a hormone issue. Your body tells you to relax through hormones. It tells you to rise up and get anxious and excited. Those are all hormone responses. I say hormone, I go like this now because my daughter does that when she says horse, so, it's coming over to Let's get back, and so that's not, speech impediment. That's just hanging out too much with my daughter, which is probably a great thing because I miss her a lot right now. So the blood pressure thing, Dr. Pompa, again, I remember when you first explained this to me, I just didn't get it. So with our viewers, so here's my hand. I'm going to lay down, right, and I'm going to relax for about how long? A couple, 2-3 minutes.
10 minutes. 5-10 minutes.
5-10 minutes. So I'm going to lay down there. I'm going to push the button on my Omni. What's the name of the one that you use a lot?
I don't remember.
I can't remember either. So a blood pressure cuff, a little electronic blood pressure cuff, Amazon.com, electronic blood pressure cuff. And you take it, and the top number is your what, systolic?
Yep.
So your systolic, you write that number down, and then you, after you get that number, then what?
Yeah, just make sure the cuff's deflated.
Deflate the cuff.
Stand up and immediately press the button, pump it up, which one you have. Take the blood pressure again.
Okay, so you're up there, you get your blood pressure, and then after you get your blood pressure and it goes beep, you have another number. Is it the top number again?
Always. Systolic, yep.
Systolic. Okay, and then so let's give some numbers.
Normal, let's just say this. Normal, it should rise 10.
So let's give some numbers. So what's a good resting systolic?
The normal should rise 10, not above 15.
Can we do a number though, like 2?
Okay. How about 5 to 15 is a normal range?
Okay. No, but what's the standing number? Like 250, like when you're resting, what would be a number so we can show the math?
All right. Are we working with 120 as a normal?
Yeah, okay, 120. Yeah, resting is 120.
Yeah, I mean, look, 110 maybe your normal, 130 maybe your normal. So I
I
don't
just
want
want to show them the numbers.
Yeah, yeah, okay. All right. So just work with the normal, so to speak, and let's not get caught up in that. But the quote normal, okay. So then you would stand up. What would normal be? 130.
Okay, then when you stand the standing.
I mean, it could be 114, I'm sorry. It could raise 15. So let's say it could be 130. If it was 135, okay, you're still okay. If it's 140 or 145 or 150, you need to take a product like Calm or Serifos throughout the day. So let me dose it for you. I would say if you raise up like 30 or 40 above, like let's say you're like 120 to 150, then I would say take 2 pills 3 times a day. Okay? All right, 2 pills 3 times throughout the day. And by the way, mine would raise up sometimes 40 or 50. I was taking those Serifos, I was taking probably 10, a day and when I did, it was good. My anxiety level was so much better. And then I would sleep through the night. By the way, when I would pump that sucker up and I would see that rise sometimes where my adrenals were fighting back, oh, forget it. I couldn't even get to sleep those nights. So if I saw that, my wife took my blood pressure cuff at one point and hid it from me, because she was like, you're creating your own anxiety. She was probably right, because I would see that number, but it was a real number now. When I saw that number rising up, above 20, I knew I wasn't sleeping that night. So I literally...
Yeah, you dreaded it, yeah.
Yeah.
And you kind of knew in your heart that was going to be the case based on probably your behavior and how you felt.
Yeah.
But then you give yourself some number evidence. I'm not going to sleep tonight,
Yeah, I mean, my adrenals would just fight back, and that I would just go days without sleeping at all. But I learned that trick, right? So if I would see that, I would get right on it, and I would use the Serifos. And like I said, Calm is even better. It's a Serifos, on steroids, and I would use that through the day, and then I could sleep better through the night. So that's the trick, right? So now let's
120, and then you would pop to sometimes 160. Your adrenals would push your systolic up that high.
I was really irritable too when that happened. When those numbers were higher, I had high irritability too. So, you can only last so long in that phase, and then your adrenals go, it's like, and then they drop off, and then you could be in that hypo phase where for months, and then I would try to support my adrenals sometimes, and then I would go hyper. So that's a lot of things that people don't realize is I would go hyper. See, what was wrong? My pituitary was wrong, and hypothalamus. That's the feedback mechanism. So that's why fiddling around down here with the adrenal glands, is tricky territory. So the only way I was able to really dial it in is with this method of using orthostatic. So then, again, I would drop. My adrenals would crash. So the only way I was able to support them using some adrenal products is if at night, I would still have to take a Calm product like the Calm or the Serifos. So I'm not taking it through the day. I'm taking adrenal builders through the day when my numbers drop. And then at night, I'm still protecting the adrenals from firing back at 3 or 4 in the morning. So then I take the Calm only at night, not through the day. So go ahead and review that.
Okay, so resting, so this is when you crash, like your adrenals drop 10 or more, so your resting's 120, and then you stand, and then you're 110.
110, yeah, or maybe I'm just 120. I'm just 120. I don't rise or fall. That's still not good. That's adrenal exhaustion. Okay, and then or you go down to 115, 110. You're really bad. That's people that are getting dizzy. Right?
Yep. I used to have vertigo, constantly. Every time I stood up, I was like, whoa, I'm going to fall over. And then people got annoyed because I'd say it all the time, because every time I'd stand up, they're like, I'm sick of you saying that, Warren. But it was true, like your wife with the blood pressure cuff. She's like, we know, you don't have to tell us 1,000 times. We already know that your adrenals are weak.
Remember the adrenal spot for fun, for those out there? Remember the chronic fatiguer? The right side. Around
out there.
Right here. You palpate your neck or have someone palpate your neck. If you have a tender spot, something that doesn't go away, and it's right here, we call it the chronic fatiguer, remember?
Yep.
Because it's an adrenal thing where you're not adapting, your adrenals are blown out, and most people with chronic fatigue syndrome, have a trigger point right here. You can just palpate the muscle spasm. I'm sorry, I'm pointing to my left. It's on the right. I apologize. Yeah. I'm pointing to my left because I was looking at myself on the stupid camera, and I was looking out to my right. So it's my right, folks.
So we're all sitting here massaging our necks right now.
On the camera, that looks like my right. I spun myself around. That's a funny thing. So it's on the right side. It's the trigger point is on the right there.
So we gotta wrap the show up, obviously, and we like to keep them at 30 minutes anyway. But I'm gonna give them some of my tricks as well. So if your adrenals are revved during the day, you want to knock them down with Serifos during the day, but you still want to support yourself at night with Calm or some of the tricks I'm going to share with you now.
Day, that's when you use GA. You know what I'm saying? A GA and some sea salt to get them going. Okay. But use Calm at night. That's if it drops. Okay, so now let's give some sleep tips. I mean, just some other things you can take. Obviously, melatonin works for some people, not others. So Warren, go ahead and give them some of your concoctions.
Okay, I got lots of them. But I'm going to review again. So if you have those weak, you have that drop, you go from 120, you stay at 120, or you go 120 down to 110, 115, whatever it may be. You want to support your adrenals, sea salt, GA, very simple support. Now, again, we're not promoting this is all you do. This is just to help you feel better so that you can start making some, getting some extra energy because you need to sleep. Sleep is key. So I'm going to keep repeating that. And then, you still, even if you have that drop, you want to support your adrenals during the day, but you still want to support your sleep hormones and drop that cortisol. And I'll slam you guys with this one a little bit. Cortisol puts you into a catabolic state, so you are destroying muscle as well. You are cannibalizing yourself. You're catabolic like a long-distance runner. They're not muscular because their hormones, their cortisol is out of whack. So just from a weight loss perspective, to give you guys a little incentive, sleep is key. And your adrenal cortisol management is really key to weight loss as well. So I just want to throw that out there, a little extra incentive to take care of yourself, remove the cause, heal the cell, get well. But some of the tricks that I do, and again, melatonin would work for me in a small dose. So lots of products. I like straight melatonin sometimes. I would do just a straight one melatonin. Dr. Pompa actually taught me this trick. I think 10 milligrams or 5 milligrams under your tongue before bed, and just do that, and try that. Sometimes that's, and Dr. Pompa can explain why this is the case, but if you have a weak thyroid, another endocrine gland, the melatonin is going to rev you, and you're going to get a cortisol spike in the middle of the night and not what you're looking for.
Is that why when I take melatonin, I wake up after 3 to 4 hours, I'm wide awake and I can't go back to sleep?
Yep.
Warren, on that note, it was funny, I just read something where they said that, that can, taking the melatonin can, just have a little effect, a little stimulation on the pineal gland. And if the pineal gland is holding a lot of metals, there's now a theory that it creates, some release of heavy metals too, which drives the cortisol. So who knows? But point is that you can try it. If it doesn't work, bail.
Yep. And I mean, I never used to be able to use it in the past. I can use it now, and it knocks me out. But again, I can't use it multiple days in a row. So another product that has a smaller amount, along with some adaptogenic herbs, some calming herbs, would be the Dream or Drem. I think it's Dream by systemic formulas. DREM. Great product. I would cycle that out. And one of my favorite combinations, Dr. Pompa, that is my go-to, usually I can get 2 to 3 nights of good sleep out of it, and I mix up the amounts of this, but I'll do 2 magnesium chelated so it doesn't loosen my stool. But for some of you who have constipation, you could take 5 of them and it wouldn't, cause you to have a laxative effect. But I take 2 magnesium malate chelate by Designs for Health. I take 2 Stress Arrest, which has some cortisol adaptogenic herbs, like adaptogenic amino acids, like Serifos does, some of the same ingredients, but Stress Arrest by Designs for Health. And then I'll do 2 to 3 tryptophan, which was pulled off the market a while ago, but that's a precursor to, I believe, serotonin, right? Mm-hmm. So tryptophan. So 2. Let me review that: 2 magnesium malate chelate, 2 Stress Arrest, and 2 to 3 tryptophan. So I would take that before bed. And literally, if I got, for me, in that place when I was not doing well, if I at least got to sleep and got 3 to 4 hours of sleep, I was happy. Now, here's the other thing. As I got better, I didn't need something to knock me out, if you will. So I would fall asleep. I wouldn't have trouble falling to sleep, but I'd get that massive adrenal rush where the adrenals are trying to recover, like you mentioned, Dr. Pompa, and then I'll pop the stress arrest immediately. So, and I still play this game with myself. I still wake up sometimes because, just a stressful day, my adrenals are cooked. I still push it too hard at times, and I wake up 4 hours later after getting to sleep, and I can't get back to sleep. And I always think that I can pray my way out of it. I can, write down stuff on a tablet, all those things, but after an hour, still not sleeping, my go-to is 3 stress arrest or some Seraphoss, but that'll taper that cortisol so my body relaxes so I can get back to sleep. And I always fight this, Dr. Pompa. I'm like, I can do it this time, but no, so some nights I wake up and I know right away my brain's starting to go, that adrenaline's starting to come, the cortisol is elevating like it should normally 8 hours later or 7.5 hours later, but I'm revved, so I knock it down with some stress arrest, some Seraphoss, things like that to calm me back down and drop me back down so I can get another 3, hopefully 4 hours of sleep. So those are some of my go-to tricks that I use. And then also the dream works great, and I'll cycle off of that 1 week and then back onto my stress arrest, tryptophan protocol, if you will, and just kind of move back and forth between them. And then sometimes what is great is as you get healthier, when you don't take anything, you get a great night's sleep versus taking something. So remember, don't just keep trying to take pills. Sometimes get off of them and see what your body can do, and sometimes you'll get a great night's sleep by taking absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And here's another, just write this down at home. Try this. Try starting with 3 milligrams, low dose of melatonin, and matching it with 100 milligrams of 5-HTP, which converts into tryptophan. So you could do the same trick with the tryptophan. Both sold on our website, Designs for Health, and complementary prescriptions is the tryptophan, right?
Yep.
Complementary prescriptions, tryptophan. Designs for Health sells 5-HTP.
Yep.
So here's what it is. If that doesn't work, then you bump it up to 6 milligrams of the melatonin. And then you bump it up to 200 milligrams of the 5-HTP. And then you can go to 9 milligrams as a high on the melatonin and 300 milligrams on the 5-HTP. Start at the low dose, and if it's not working, work your way up to 309 is a high. If that doesn't work, then you can try any of the things even that Warren said. But start with the orthostatic blood pressure. Fooling around with these adrenal glands, when the problem's here, is very difficult. This gives you a tool to use to try to figure it out. Otherwise, you'll cause yourself, more problems because you're pushing when you should be pulling, etc. So I hope that helps.
All right. Well, we do need to wrap it up. We went 10 minutes over, Dr. Pompa. I'm going to have to. You need to shuffle down to my room here.
I will.
And so
hey guys, crush it today.
Yeah.
Dr. Pompa will. I get to be on stage tomorrow. That's great. Not as a speaker, but whatever.
It's a test model.
I'm a test model.
That's right.
RevelationHealth.com is our store, guys. Just to make that clear, RevelationHealth.com is where we take all the products. Are over with hundreds of doctors that we work with. Use these protocols. A lot of them we've tried. We've learned a lot of this stuff from the doctors who give us input. Everything we have, essentially been tested and used by physicians, natural health practitioners, health coaches from around the world. We have a new doctor coming in, flying in to learn from us from the Netherlands today, and I look forward to meeting him. He flew all the way out here. Guys, we are changing the world. It's about education. What we do, we could sell online products and do all that stuff like a lot of other folks do, but the key is our people perish for lack of knowledge. So if you're not educating people and teaching them what they need to do to get their life back, that's what our coaches do. The doctors that we train do. That's what Dr. Pompa does for really, really challenge folks from around the world. Man, you have to educate. So you have to share this information. You got to give them truth. Let them know that there's a reason and a cause that they're sick. They don't have to live sick and suffering the rest of their life. It's just that's our heartbeat, and we're going to say it over and over again. Thank you, Dr. Dan Pompa.
Right.
I'll
see you in the lobby.
We'll see you in the lobby. Take care.
See you guys.
Everyone.